Well, this is the moment I've been waiting for.
What moment is that?
It's Mandalorian Season 3, man.
Woohoo!
I know, finally. Feels like we've just been biding time since Andor ended, doesn't it?
Yeah, for a second there, I thought you were going to say that the Bad Batch has gotten good.
No, well... Well, there is an episode of the Bad Batch Season 2 that I was like, oh gosh, I can't wait to talk about this when we recap it. Getting into a little cloning.
So you have kind of started watching the episodes again?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been keeping up to date.
Yeah, for those not aware, or for those wondering why we haven't put one out, we paused our Bad Batch episode to kind of do rather a synopsis on the whole season.
We were just
one episode.
Yeah, we were just I don't know. It was each week to week, there's not enough to talk about on this show. There's not
not enough meat on the bone.
No, yeah. There's one episode. Honestly, there was one episode that came out, and I was like, man, I could have talked about this for an hour. Yeah. Oh well. We will.
They've definitely gotten better, but we are not here to talk about that. No. That is for another episode.
No, we're here for speaking about bones. We're here for me to pick a bone with a show that I have up until this point had a lot of love and respect for. Hello and welcome to the Movie Men podcast.
Wow. Okay. The B team.
Yeah, that's you are not Brady.
And you're not Carl.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah. Sounds like you're, oh man. It sounded, I'm confused as to where you're at with this foray into season 3, because you started out sounding like it was really awesome. And then that last little line before the intro made it sound very much the opposite.
There's, I've got both good and bad to talk about today, which is not what I was hoping for. I definitely have good to talk about, but I have a couple of major gripes.
All right.
Yeah. So let's
how do we want to dive into this? Do we want to kind of talk about our highlights and lowlights, or do we want to
let's do it the way we did Andor. You can kind of take us through the episode, and we can talk about things as they sort of come up.
Oh, I don't have that good of notes for it.
Oh my god. You will next week. But okay. All right, we can talk about highlights and lowlights for this special season premiere episode. But I do want to start off with my biggest gripe.
Start with the bad and with the good.
Hasn't made me lose all respect for The Mandalorian. Hasn't made me lose all respect for Jon Favreau. Hasn't made me lose all respect for Dave Filoni. But they've taken a hit. They've taken a significant hit. One of the things that we've been griping about with the MCU is that the interconnectivity of the MCU has reached a point where it can be a little confusing and difficult to keep up if you haven't seen every single episode of every single thing that's come out. And even then, it can be a little confusing. But specifically talking with this multiverse stuff, right? So this is not really a spoiler, but obviously Quantumania is out now. Again, Carl and I have both seen that. I was sick. I haven't gotten around. We're going to talk about it. We'll do an Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania review. I'm actually very excited to talk about that with you. But with the multiverse saga that they're doing right now, there's there's just a lot of confusing stuff. Like, did you see this episode of Loki? Because this episode of Loki kind of explains that, but it also kind of contradicts this, and blah blah blah. And the MCU never used to be that way, right? There was a connective, flowing through story, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but if you missed Iron Man 2 and 3, Avengers, Age of Ultron still made sense.
Honestly, I heard someone say this, and I think this really rings true. The first, 2 phases of the MCU, even sequels to previous films, Kevin Feige always ensured that every single film that came out could be, you'd have a little catching up to do later, but it could be sort of your launching point into the MCU. If that was the first MCU film that you saw, you'd be caught up enough in no time, and you'd be able to really jump in and go. The MCU is not in that state anymore. It is. I don't know. If I hadn't seen any MCU properties at this point, it would be a very daunting, scary thing to try to jump into.
Right.
I will never. And it wasn't an issue for me because I've seen everything I need to see. But I can still approach this as boneheaded and moronic and stupid. I will never understand nor forgive Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and the wonderful people over at The Mandalorian for making the Book of Boba Fett mandatory viewing for season 3 of The Mandalorian. Not just because the Book of Boba Fett wasn't as good as it, would have or could have or should have been, but not everybody watched it. Right? One of the wonderful things that The Mandalorian's been able to do is that it has reached out to, it's kind of tapped into some of the more casual Star Wars fan and have been like, hey, there's some shows here. There's some additional extended universe content here for those that want to go a little deeper. And for a lot of people, The Mandalorian was kind of like their first venture into doing that, into viewing non-episodic film Star Wars material.
Yeah. It did it in a very kind of serialized, casual way, from episode to episode, even though there was a lot of connective tissue between episodes for an overarching story. They all kind of stood alone for the most part.
Yeah, they all stood alone, and there was just fun little, nothing was too serious. There was a great mystery going on. What the hell's with this kid? And there was this interesting, there were these constant fan service moments of look, it's, we're sitting in the same booth. We're sitting in the same booth that Han gunned down Greedo, right? It was just fun little things, Easter eggs. And I know a lot of people who have seen Mandalorian and have not seen Book of Boba Fett. And I feel sorry for them going into episode 1 of Mandalorian season 3. Because if the last thing that they saw was the season finale of Mandalorian season 2, and now they're watching the very next episode in this show, the very next episode of this show, they're going to be sitting there going, wait, what?
Yeah.
What? Why is Grogu back with Mandalorian? What is this ship that Mandalorian's flying? This retrofitted Naboo fighter. Really badass looking retrofitted. I don't think those people
would know that there's called Naboo fighter.
No, but it's still where'd he get this? Where'd he get this fighter from? And why is he now sort of? And they sort of at the beginning they kind of do in the previously on they show you one scene from the Book of Boba Fett, which is Mandalorian being told this is what you have to do in order to go redeem yourself.
Yeah.
But it was so boneheaded, so asinine, so nearsighted to make, because essentially what they did was they took 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett and dedicated them to just furthering the Mandalorian storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, now if you haven't seen Book of Boba Fett, it's infuriating. It is from a creative sensibility standpoint to have people who are a fan of a show watch the last episode of a show and then go to watch the next episode of a show and go, oh, wait a second, I had to watch at least 2 episodes of this other show in order to now understand what's happening in my show? What the hell?
Yeah.
It was stupid. It's stupid. You could reference things, you could do whatever. That's fine. But to make it mandatory viewing.
Devil's advocate here, I hear what you're saying, but like playing devil's advocate, if somebody ended up watching Mandalorian 1, Mandalorian 2, season 2 ends with Boba Fett sitting on the throne saying, Book of Boba Fett's coming up next. If you've watched season 2 of Mandalorian, you probably watched Book of Boba Fett whether you liked it or not.
Maybe, but you shouldn't have to.
Yeah. Well, and I'm the one that said it about the MCU being where it was at on a podcast some time ago. I think it was when we did Doctor Strange. Like, I absolutely agree. Like, the MCU's gotten ridiculous. It's not jumping the shark by definition, but it's doing something that is asinine in all respects in terms of trying to tell a narrative that everybody can understand and enjoy. So I see the connection there, and I agree that that's there. I don't think it's as bad as what the MCU is doing because
not yet, no.
Because, like if I've watched Mandalorian 1 and 2, I've definitely watched Boba Fett. You know what I mean?
You have, so, because it's you. I have because it's me.
But if somebody's invested time into those 2 seasons and now, I'm going to watch this other Mandalorian person's show. Like, most people are most definitely going to have watched Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
If they haven't watched Book of Boba Fett, they've probably just written off watching any Star Wars TV shows, period.
I think ultimately what it comes down to, though, is like, I just don't think, 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett should never have been used to further Mandalorian story. That should have just been its own show. Boba Fett goes off and he has an adventure. And then if Boba Fett ends up back in Mandalorian season 3 at some point, you throw a little exposition in there to kind of reference where he's been, like get the audience up to speed in case they didn't watch it. Get the audience up to speed on like, oh, this is where his, this new shoulder armor he got came from, or this is where, whatever. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Move forward. But like to just be like, to have a major plot point, which is like, wait a second, the last we saw Grogu, the main character of the original Star Wars that we all know and love, showed up with R2-D2, R2 freaking D2, and put Grogu in Luke's X-Wing, and they went off, and Grogu's gonna go be a Jedi. Whoop-de holy crap. And then now, what? And now, yeah, Grogu's moving some shit around with his hands, but he did that before as well, kind of on and off. No, and he's not being a Jedi. And where's Luke? And
I agree with the point as a whole. I disagree with it being such a major issue that you seem to be making it into.
That's fair.
I guess.
That's fair. I was just frustrated.
Yeah, because I just feel like in this particular case, people watching Mandalorian have watched Book of Fett.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
like, I would say
Boba
like
Fett.
there's probably fewer people that haven't than have. You know what I mean? Like if you were to poll people and say, hey, how many of you watched Mando? How many watched Book of Fett? How many of you are ready for season 3? Right? Most people are going to say, like a vast majority are going to say they watched everything in those categories.
Probably, yeah.
I don't think you're going to get many people that said, I skipped Fett.
It's just dumb. I mean, but
no,
I agree. Like, up until now, I would have told people to.
They should have either renamed Book of Fett to be like Mandalorian season 3, the Tale of Fett, so that it is like, oh, this is a Mandalorian story still, but it's more focused on Fett. And then now we're having season 4. That would have been more ideal, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Less false advertising.
Yes. Yeah.
I just made that word up. Advertising.
It's good. All right, so let's get past this. But so frustrating. I'm gonna out and say it. I think that as out of the 3 season premieres that we've had, this is the weakest.
What?
No way.
Really? I mean, did not enjoy this?
No, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I just think it's an interesting storyline. I'm excited. I'm all for seeing Mandalore, and I like that Mando and Grogu are back together because I think that's an important dynamic to the show that you don't want to lose. And I like Bo-Katan and all the Darksaber stuff and all the whatever, like that's, and I so much more now that I've seen Clone Wars. But it's just like in comparison, like if you look at the first season premiere, which is obviously the first episode of the show, that's a special episode just because it's like there's shrouded in so much mystery, right? Like it's this new character and you get they're out on those salt or the ice plains, and the monster comes up from under the water and like grabs the ship and all that stuff happens. And then there's the fight at the end of the episode. There's the introduction of IG-11. Man, I miss IG-11. IG-11 so badass. And so badass. And then the reveal of this like baby Yoda, and everyone was like, oh, what the hell? Like it was just, it broke the world. Broke the world. Season 2, which I think is actually the best season premiere that we've gotten, was all about the killing, the hunting of the crate dragon. That was a great episode. It was visually stunning. It was exciting. It was like retrieving the Boba Fett armor from this village on Tatooine, and it was just fun. It was exciting. This one starts with like the introduction of Mando, sort of the pre-title card sequence is they're like, whatever they're doing, baptizing this kid into the Mandalorian
foundling
thing. Which is so stupid, by the way. So like, I don't know, this helmet junk, like when the show started out, I was like, oh yeah, like, okay, this is the way. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, here we go. This is the way. This is the way. And you got to keep your helmet on. And then we run into Bo-Katan, and Bo-Katan kind of explains, like, you guys are archaic. Like, you guys, this is a very draconian approach, this whole keep the helmet thing on. Like, we're Mandalorians, and we take our helmets off because that's, like, ancient Catholic, and we're kind of modern progressive. and we're still going to heaven. Like, it's okay. And so now the whole helmet thing, like, I think it's going to be an interesting, exciting storyline, but I'm also like a little frustrated because I'm like, okay, but you shouldn't need redemption. And I'm now seeing this side of the Mandalorian stuff as super culty. And
it's kind of like that meme. Have you seen that meme where it takes clips from the Book of Fett, where he's fighting with the saber, and it's like, you taking off your helmet? Yes. And okay, you're no longer Mandalorian. And then it has two comic panels of him with Boba Fett, and he's like, so she told me that I was no longer a Mando, so I said, screw you, I'm going to hang out with Fett. And Boba Fett says, you've got the Darksaber, right? Well, yeah. Well, you're Mandalore. Tell her she's not Mandalorian.
Yeah, you're the king. Yeah. So I just see that whole thing as super culty now, and
yeah,
blah blah blah. But I just thought, like, it like in all, season 2 started and it was just a fun, exciting, felt like a higher budget episode, special effects wise, and like they just poured a lot into it, and it didn't need to be a lot of exposition. Like, they set up what the story was, and he's hunting for his kind, and he finds his Boba Fett armor, but not for the guy that, like, not an actual Mandalorian, just sort of a guy that bartered with some Jawas for it, and that was it. It didn't need to be this like information heavy episode. This episode just felt like all talk and no flashy lights and no fun and no excitement. Like it just as it felt like a middle of the season kind of episode to me. Yeah.
This was exactly the opposite for me.
Okay.
I thought this was a great foray into for a season 2 to kind of spur the redemption arc of the Mandalorian.
Redemption that he doesn't need.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you're not in okay, for lack of a better word, I'll use the word cult. When you're not in the cult, you look at the redemption to get back into it as being ridiculous.
You could have said Creed, but
Creed, sure. But when you're part of it and you get booted out, you want back in. Because that's your family. That's his family, right?
It's not much of a family.
He's told, but so I thought it, like, the way it started off was great because we didn't know the time setting.
Yeah, I was exactly, like, is this like a major flashback? Is this our main character getting his helmet for the first time? Is it not? And then like the big gator guy monster attacks, and we get to see the Mandalorians fighting together, and like, they're not just like out for themselves. They're like, oh, he's down, I'm going to go save him. Let's work together, make sure nobody gets hurt, protect the foundlings. They're very like united, same goal, same purpose. We get to see lots of, Mandalorian gadgets being used, the classics, flamethrowers and wires and big guns. But then we see Mandalorian come in and save the day, and he's again kind of told, like, if you want back in, you know what you got to do. And he says, well, I'm going to do it, so this is the way. I would have just lied to them. Did you take your helmet off?
I did it.
No, I didn't take my helmet off. What are you talking about?
Anyway, like, so I thought the opening, that opening scene was pretty cool.
I did. I really enjoy that opening
and
scene.
Then he goes, he's kind of got to put a team together because he can't go by himself. It's dangerous. So he's trying to get the droid and get some help, and he goes, and that whole scene on that planet, I can't remember the name of the planet. But that was Kriva. That was pretty cool to see it, like, from the first season to the second season to the third season. This place has only gotten nicer and nicer and nicer, and now it's like the guy said, it's like we're a hub of trade here. Like we're going to be we are truly independent, and like,
by the way. So we need to make that connection, because a little while ago we were talking, and you on the show, you were like, you had sort of a Mandela effect type thing where you could have sworn that that Lando Calrissian was played by Carl Weathers, and I had to I had to let you down and say no, that's Billy D. Williams. I don't know what you're smoking. Carl Weathers is this guy. He's the he's now the magistrate of this place. Yeah,
Supreme Magistrate. Isn't that what he says? Supreme.
Yeah, well, that's a little.
What's he
douchey,
correct them? He's always correcting. Yeah. It's funny. But he's still not afraid to get his hands dirty, fighting, keeping those pirates off the planet, and he knows what he needs to do. But and there was some, there's some cool throwbacks to the original Star Wars stuff and all that. There was even a couple nods to the Disney Star Wars shows there with those little creatures that Grogu hugs and won't let go of, and get some cute Grogu moments trying to repair the droid. And this is where I think the show really bookends itself really well and ties the whole show together, is he goes to Bo-Katan for help to kind of rally some troops to help him go to Mandalore. And we start the episode seeing this sect of Mandalorians who follow the Mandalorian creed in a different way. And there's lots of them, and they're together, and they're tight-knit, and they're working together. And then we have Bo-Katan in a castle, in a throne room, on a throne, all by herself.
Yeah.
So what she believes is the right way of Mandalore to follow has not worked for her. She's got no one. While this other side may seem very cultish, as you said, their strictness to a code has kept them together and kept them surviving throughout all that's happened. So,
yeah, but take your helmet off.
No, but I think they bookend really nice, and it kind of sets the Mandalorian up, our main character, in a interesting place where I think he does see, even though he hasn't said it, I think he does see the kind of the fractures in the ridiculousness of the strict ideology of the creed of the sect he feels he belongs to. But I think what we're going to get from this redemption arc is he knows he can't make effective change. He can't claim the title of Mandalore, even though he's got the saber, until he redeems himself. His people won't follow him, even if he's got the saber, because they don't see him as a Mandalorian.
Right.
So he needs to become a Mandalorian again, following their creed, to claim the title, to make change, and to bring Mandalorians back together.
Yeah.
So I even though I would prefer Boba Fett having the dark saber and becoming Mandalore, this is going to be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, but you can't have a fat Mandalore.
No.
Look, and here's the thing, and I just finished rewatching, last night. I just finished rewatching season 2, and I mean it's so good. I'd forgotten about Grogu eating the frog's spawn babies out of it. Right. It's both hilarious and also kind of upsetting every time he does it. I'm like, it's a baby, stop. And I said before, I'm not into fat shaming anyone. I'm not into, I think it was stupid casting all around, because I get it. Boba Fett is a clone. He was an unmodified clone, so he doesn't age as quickly as the other clones did, but he's still a clone. And so for continuity, you want to have him played by the same guy that played Jango. But there's just, like, how long are we to believe that Boba was in the Sarlacc pit? Couldn't have been in there long.
No, he was a slave longer than he was in the pit. Just
from like a dehydration, starvation standpoint. Like, he was in there maybe a couple of days. Maybe. And we see him go in and he's like muscular and super fit, and he comes back out and his belly's bulging out from underneath his armor. And that's not even the worst part of it. The worst part of it is, if we look at it timeline-wise, if we do the math, Boba Fett's like late 30s, maybe early 40s at this point. Like, just mathematically in the Star Wars timeline, that's how old Boba Fett is. So to have him played by a guy in his early 60s, who, I'm sorry, looks like he's in his early 60s. Like, he has some guys that are like, oh, wow, yeah, Paul Rudd, he's playing a 12-year-old. I bought it.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't feel like Boba Fett to me. He feels like a Boba Fett imposter. Like, he doesn't, anytime he's on screen, I'm not like, oh yeah, that's Boba Fett. I'm like, who's this, some old chunky guy in the Boba Fett outfit? Like, it's just not, you know. And so I was looking online, I guess the kid that played Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones is now the right age and kind of has a pretty good look, like, you know, throw a scar or two on his face, and that would have been the way to go. That would have been the way to go. And would have, like, you know, technically he played the kid Boba, but he has already played Boba Fett. Anyways, either way, it's a little tangent, but I more and more every day that passes, I'm having more issues with. And then, the guy that plays Boba Fett, he posted this video on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, where he's like working out and he's getting super jacked because he doesn't want to be called Boba Fett anymore. And it's like, okay, but you've just got like the wrong like it. So now he's like muscular, but he's like Ben Affleck from Batman muscular. Like, he's not like fit. He's not like lean. He's like big, and it's just like you still just look wrong in the outfit. Like, you're saying your next milestone is still 70. Like, you're not accurate to who Boba Fett is supposed to be. Anyways, this is neither here nor there, but it's just, driving me up the wall. Boba Fett, you talk about in Star Wars how people, like, you think Obi-Wan aged rough? A couple days in the Sarlacc pit for Boba Fett. Holy shit,
maybe it wasn't
man.
the Sarlacc pit. Maybe it was all that time in the whatchamacallit, the back to tank.
I don't know. It's rough. It's bad. It's bad news bears.
I don't know. I didn't think he looked that bad.
Okay. All right.
Anyway.
We're
here to talk about Mandalorian. And I thought,
So apparently the two shows are one and the same, and you can't watch one without watching. It's the same thing. Like, Boba Fett is just Mandalorian season 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5. Yeah, I was just about to say that exact thing. No, I really thought this show episode flowed really well and set itself up really well.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it. That's what I think that's what I'm arriving at.
There was a lot of other cool callbacks. I thought to other shows. We got we saw the Purgle. For those that have seen and enjoyed, or maybe you did enjoy it, I don't know, but I kind of enjoyed most of it. Rebels, in the show Rebels, the Purgle play a pretty large part in that. Brady's probably sitting there because I don't think you've watched Rebels yet, have you?
No, I have not.
Yeah, so you're sitting there going, Purgle who? Yeah, so the Purgle are the creatures that Grogu sees during the hyperspace flight. He kind of sees shadows of some large creature.
Okay, right.
Just outside the hyperspace tube they're in.
Traveling pretty fast based on...
So in lore, and this is like current canon, the Purgle travel are creatures that can travel through hyperspace naturally, and kind of that's where humans and aliens and stuff learned how to use hyperspace travel, is by watching
That's
these
cool.
creatures. So they're these big kind of whale-like creatures, but instead of whale tails, they got like squid tentacles. Yeah, so they play a pretty big role in Rebels, and it's so it was really cool to see them. That tie-in was really neat. And it's also really interesting because we had Ahsoka Tano in season 2, who is a big part of Rebels. So it kind of just everything's starting kind of tying together nicely. As that, have you seen that clip floating? It's been floating around the internet on my socials quite a bit recently, and stuff that I've watched. But there's a old interview of George Lucas. He's like talking to somebody who's working on Star Wars with him, and he's like, it's like poetry. Everything rhymes and flows together.
That was George Lucas's way, though, man. Like,
so
man was a genius.
It felt very Star Wars, kind of very George Lucas. This episode to me,
yeah,
the way the beginning and the end bookended, these little nods to other things happening in the universe or that will happen.
Mm-hmm. I have 2 questions for you. Questions that I want to theorize, sort of predictions to make for this season moving forward. 2 questions that I want to know if you think they're going to be answered. Could have been 3 questions, but the third question I know we're not going to get answered in this season because I'm pretty sure they're saving that for Ahsoka, which is the Grand Admiral Thrawn. I don't think we're going to see Thrawn in this season. I think they're saving that entirely for Ahsoka, because that's kind of her big, that's her whole thing. That's Ahsoka's episode of season 2 of Mandalorian, is she's trying to track down Thrawn.
Yeah, well, yeah, and at the end, like further in the timeline, Rebels takes place before this. No, Rebels would have taken place before this because this is after the trilogy.
Resistance takes place after this.
I actually haven't seen the Resistance.
No, me neither.
Maybe watch that. But yeah, at the end of Rebels, she's looking for Thrawn,
right,
and Ezra Bridger.
Okay. So 2 things I want to know. A, do you think that we will get more information in this season, or an answer to who, like, you and I talked about, we know that we're going to find out who the Jedi that took Grogu from the temple during Order 66 was.
Yeah.
But are we going to get more information on exactly what is there something specifically special about Grogu? Like, does Grogu have some connection, some relation to Yoda?
Right.
So far as to go, could Grogu be
limited number? It seems like.
Exactly. So could this be like a cousin or something like that, or a theory that I kind of like is, and I haven't done a lot of digging to see if this is a popular theory on the internet. This is just kind of like the first thing that popped into my head when I was watching Mandalorian the first time, was Oh my God. Is Grogu a Yoda clone? So do you think we'll get more information or the big question answered?
I don't know.
And what is your theory?
I don't think we're going to get information on like Grogu's history outside of Order 66. Like pre-Order 66, where he came from, who's his daddy, what does he do?
So you think it's inconsequential?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I think this is where Filoni and Favreau's head are at with this character. It's not where he's come from isn't as important as what he means to the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, and how he will affect the story moving forward in that role.
Right. Yeah. Okay. The other question: do you think we're going to get more information on, so in season 2 we have this evil doctor of the Empire, and they take Grogu because they want his blood. They see him as a donor for something. They're taking blood. And we got that episode where they went to attack or overthrow or ransack this, what they assumed was just a regular Imperial base. But then the Imperial base turned out to be an Imperial lab. And we saw these weird fetus-esque things growing in these tanks.
Yep.
Do you think, and will it be revealed, whether or not, this kind of ties into Bad Batch, is what we're seeing in these tanks the Empire searching for, trying to figure out the viable, functioning clone body of Palpatine? And the theory is that maybe Grogu's the answer, that they need force sensitive blood in order to make it come together.
Oh, I think long term, that's definitely part of it for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think, I don't think kind of short term, what was his name? Moff Gideon, the big bad from season 2 and I guess season 1. I don't think he realized that's what he was doing.
Right. Yeah. Because that's not the type of thing
just
that
had
you
kind
entrust
of,
to.
He was just kind of following, I don't know what you'd call them, the last sealed orders. In the event of Emperor's death, open this letter. Those are your orders. His orders were find force sensitive and clone force sensitive army.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then and report to X, Y, and Z people. And then those people kind of funnel down to that weird Sith cult that we saw in the horrible Disney movies, and they make some bodies for the Emperor. I think that's more likely what is kind of playing out here.
Right.
I don't think we're going to see anything kind of directly linking to a Palpatine clone or Palpatine trying to be resurrected.
No, I don't think we're going to see Ian McDiarmid or anything like that show up.
No, but I'm saying I don't think you're going to see anything. Oops, hit my mic. Anything saying this is for Palpatine.
Okay.
Right. I think it's all going to be this is for the new Empire's army.
But do you think it will become like they'll do it in such a way that it becomes painfully clear to the viewers that that's what this is?
Oh, they're obvious. I think that's already clear that they're trying to make force sensitive clones.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
But I think as far as this show will take it, will be just we're trying to remake a Sith army with force sensitive beings.
Yeah, to kind of get the Empire jump started again.
Yeah, whether it's like full on lightsaber wielding Sith or maybe just force sensitive, like light force sensitive people who can just kind of like have kind of precognition abilities so that they're better soldiers, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Cool. All right, sir. Well, I hate to ask because I feel like I already know the answer, but was this episode a win or a fail for you?
Yeah, for me, this was a win. It stole it like I said, I thought the beginning, the end bookended nicely to kind of told a nice story, set up this redemption arc very well, and kind of what Din Djarin's up against, what he's fighting for, as well. I don't know if you noticed, as much as we really enjoyed Andor, there wasn't a lot of jumping around in terms of shots and characters here. In fact, I would say there was zero. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Well, there's fewer storylines going. This is a much more, we're following Mando.
Even if there were more storylines, anyway, we don't need to get into that again. I've ranted about that enough times.
Yeah.
In our
Didn't bother
episodes.
me, but
so yeah. No, I really liked this. It was good. Yeah. I thought it was a really good setup.
Cool.
Was it the best out of 3 seasons? I don't know. I'd have to watch the first episode of all 3 seasons back to back to really judge. It's been a long time since I've seen the other 2, so I will. I don't think I can make that answer like you did.
Yeah. Okay.
And tell us how much you hated this episode.
I didn't hate it. I was disappointed by it. After waiting so long, it wasn't the payoff that I was hoping for after such a long wait. I will say this episode was a fail for me. I enjoy it. I think it's entertaining. I'm excited about where we're gonna go. But if I'm looking at it through the lens of where my expectations were, where my excitement level was, I was let down. So I don't think the season's doomed as a result. I think Book of Boba Fett being mandatory viewing is bullshit. I will die on that hill. But yeah, ultimately, I enjoy it. I'm excited for next week's episode, 100%. It just wasn't. There was no crate dragon killing. I just didn't have that like sand people and humans coming and working together. It just, man, that shot of like the sand people finding the crate dragon pearl and just like, they're so excited, man. They're so happy. Premiere of season 2, just like it brought people together in a way that this just didn't. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Well, thank you for listening. Check out our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all listed below, Patreon, our merch page, and subscribe wherever you're listening, or if you're listening in a place that you don't normally get your podcasts, look for the Movie Men Podcast. Search us up just about anywhere, and follow us, because we're going to talk more Mandalorian. We're going to talk Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania coming up. We're going to talk lots of things, man. There's so many movies So much good stuff. It's just like right around the corner. You know what's coming up so fast? You need to start like doing your stretches. Start stretching because The Flash is coming. And that, if that's not going to be a 3-hour episode, I don't know what is.
Do we have to stand on a treadmill while doing this, or?
You're going to want to like hook up a catheter and all kinds of, it's going to be,
Man,
it's going to be an endurance.
Fill up quickly these days.
Going to be an endurance run. That's for sure. Cool. All right, sir. Say something witty to send us off with.
Well, if you're not watching this show, you should, because this is the way. You're supposed to say this is the way.
Oh, this is this is the way. I was just so proud of you. I was smiling because this is what I was hoping you were going to say. So
this is the way.
This is the way. Except for the stupid helmet thing. Take your freaking helmet off.